tips for organizing your closet, and holding an estate sale. Today on Keeping You Organized.
Today on Keeping You Organized, we have Amanda Kuzak from Kuzak'sCloset.com. And Amanda, welcome to Keeping You Organized. You're out in Silicon Valley, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you do a lot of different things. We're going to talk about a variety of things that you do today, but you have this blog. Tell us a little bit about the blog and what the purpose of the blog is.
Well, originally I started my blog just to keep in touch with my friends and family back in the Midwest. I started it about 4 years ago, and it turned into more of a marketing opportunity for my business. So every day there's a new before and after or estate sale previews. Sometimes there's even a recipe that is really easy to make if you have an organized pantry, and also kind of a glimpse into my life as a business owner and just someone living out here in Northern California.
So now and this is what we're going to get into a little bit, you're both a professional organizer, but you also run these estate sales, and tell us a little bit about that and what that entails.
So with the estate sale business, I get to use all my professional organizing skills, which a lot of that is negotiations and time management, project management, and also pair that with my love of antiques and just pieces of history. So we organized huge sales in the Bay Area, and we liquidate entire homes. We keep each home to the integrity of the owner, so we don't bring other antiques in, which is kind of fun because you can play detective at our sales and be kind of figuring out what did that homeowner do for a living and what were their hobbies and what did they collect. And it's fun because each sale is so different. One might be mid-century, one might be Victorian, one might be total 70s. So they're great.
Well, let's talk about some of those unique things, because I think people go to estate sales to have some special finds, right? What are some of the most unique items that you've featured in some of your estate sales?
Well, one of the most unique things, especially because I'm out in California, was about 2 years ago, I had a sale at a very large home that they call the Castle here in Los Altos, California. And when we were setting up, they have a barn that has a loft in it. And being from Michigan, I'm used to barns and lofts and who knows what's up there. But out here, I was not expecting to find 4 horse-drawn sleighs. Giant horse-drawn sleighs. So my client, he actually was a chiropractor and would travel back and forth from here to Iowa for conferences and talks over at the chiropractic college in Iowa. And he would drive, so he would pick up a sleigh on each trip. So we were selling them. And then I actually saw it on one of the sleighs I sold was on American Restoration this past year on that
Wow.
TV show. I think it's on A&E or the History Channel. But yeah, so that was kind of fun to see the whole transformation of this really neat piece of history completely restored and enjoyed.
Well, now I bet in doing estate sales, there's probably some ways to get organized for an estate sale. Maybe for some of our listeners who want to have their own sale, what are some of the steps to organizing an estate sale? I mean, how far in advance do you have to plan it, and what kind of what's involved with it?
Well, I tell my readers on my blog, if you want to do your own estate sale, the first thing to spend your time on is to figure out the items you want to keep and remove them from the space. And when you do that, kind of go room by room by room. And if you're working at your parents' house, maybe clear out one bedroom and have that bedroom be the spot that all the things you want to keep are in. So that at the end of this process, you can kind of quantify how much you're keeping and if you actually have room for it in your own house. And then as I set up, I always go room by room, and I have a bag for Goodwill and a bag for garbage, and I just kind of make a sweep either clockwise or counterclockwise. I also set up a key area where the cashier is going to sit, where it's the first spot where shoppers are going to come and the last spot that they leave. So they're greeted by the cashier, the customers are, and they also pay there. So we kind of see, I always tell readers, like, if you're going to have an estate sale, have one in and one out. That way you can minimize people who are potentially stealing something or sneaking in or sneaking out. Also, put all your high-value items in one kind of zone, and I typically have that in the same area as the cashier, because if for some reason I have to move out of that area, that room, to answer a question or to go load a dresser in someone's car, I want to make sure that someone has eyes on those items at all times. And then as your sale goes on, And if you have items in all the bedrooms, shrink those bedrooms down. So if day one you sell a lot and you have extra room in the living area or the kitchen or the garage, move things into that central area, because that's the area that most shoppers will spend their money. That sometimes in the bedrooms they feel almost intrusive, so they don't feel like, oh, this is for sale, even though you say everything must go. If it's in that key area, it really increases the value and increases the opportunity for it to walk out the door with someone. So that's good.
What I bet too, when someone comes into like the first room they enter, they're going to probably make a judgment on the whole sale based on what's in that, and so they may not even make it to some of those other rooms, right? So bringing the stuff back in there would be helpful.
Yes, that's why I like to put the high ticket items that are of, even if they're not high ticket because they're not worth more than $10, but they're beautiful. Even if it's a neat chair that I might only sell for $15, but it's going to catch your eye and it's going to tell the story of that house. That's what I like to put in that key area, because just like any store, even in high-end retail, the first impression makes everything, and we don't want to see someone walk into one of our sales and walk right out. And we try to catch their eye right when they walk in the door. Whether it's, if we can't catch their eye, then we try to ask them what they're looking for, what they collect, and kind of engage with them.
What's the most expensive item you've ever sold at an estate sale?
I don't know. Probably recently I sold an antique Model A, and it was a Roadster. So I sold that for about $10,000. I'm working on potentially selling a copy of the Emancipation Proclamation right now. There's only 9 in public hands. One of my clients has one and is interested in selling it. So we're working on the appraisal process to determine the proper asking price, because that will be potentially a $250,000 plus sale, which would be great.
That'd be a nice one to be involved in. What about thinking, I know this is probably subjective, but maybe the best deal somebody walked away with at one of these estate sales? Maybe, I don't know if you reduced the price on the last day and someone just got a great steal on something other than stealing it, I guess.
No, well, yeah, I know what you mean. I think anytime you come at the end of our sales on a Saturday, you're getting a great deal, because unlike a lot of companies, we don't take our items that don't sell to the next sale. So we either try to donate them at the end, or the family's going to keep them, or I might try to put something on eBay. But I mean, just the furniture that people walk away with, especially here in California, it's very different than when I was in the Midwest. Some of the antiques there, the furniture and the dressers and the bedroom sets, they would sell for so much more than here, and that might be because of lack of space. But some of the people have been getting gorgeous, like solid walnut, chests for $25 or $100, and it's just amazing. So I would think any furniture at the end. I just sold an armoire. It was beautiful. It had a mirror in it, hand carved, and it was one of the French styles that comes apart into 25 pieces. And it didn't sell, and somebody made me an offer for $50 at the end of the sale, and I said, take it. And
nice.
It was kind of hard to see it go, but he was a woodworker, and he was excited to kind of get it up and running. And the best part about it is that the story of that armoire kind of continues into a new home, which I like. That's my part.
Do you put on your blog pictures of what's coming up at the sales to kind of pre-promote it a little bit and get people excited about it?
Yeah, so I do a big blog post with about 40 pictures for each sale, and I also post pictures as I'm setting up on Instagram, and we sometimes do Insta videos. And then at the end of the sale, sometimes I take something that didn't sell because someone couldn't see the potential. Maybe it was missing like the back to it, or it was an ugly color, and I will paint it. Or like there was an old door at my last sale that didn't sell, and I ended up turning it into a king size headboard for my house. And so then I feature that on the blog, just to show people, don't just see the item for what it is currently, see the potential of what it can be.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So now, do you have just kind of an area there? I mean, how far away do you go from the Silicon Valley, or do you pretty much keep within that geographic area for the estate sales?
I keep pretty much in this area because I have a large following in this area, and if I go outside of it, it almost doesn't do the client the justice that it should, because my clientele, my shoppers are only going to travel so far. So I typically do sales in Los Altos, and then I travel about 20 miles south down to Los Gatos and anywhere in between that, and then up to Atherton, and kind of, so it's about a 40-mile radius. So that way, because even some of my shoppers down in, Los Gatos, San Jose won't come to a Los Altos sale, even though it's only 15 minutes away.
Right.
So.
Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk more about your background, especially as it relates to closets, because I know you do. You've got a history in that. Also, about a couple books that you've been involved in, and a little bit more about the estate sales. So we are talking with Amanda Kuzak from Kuzak's Closet on keeping you organized. We'll be right back.
Do you need ideas on to-do lists, keeping focus, and filing information while on the go? The 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by Smead is sure to be a helpful tool for your organizing needs. Each idea is titled so you can quickly scan the book for whatever topic you may need to reference at the given time. With over 100 years in the organizing business, this free ebook will become a well-used resource and motivator for introducing ideas that boost your productivity. Get the 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by going to smead.com/100. Download yours now at smead.com/100. Smead, keeping you organized.
We are back now on Keeping You Organized with Amanda Kuzak from Kuzak'sCloset.com, which covers estate sales, professional organizing. Is there any other business associated with this as well?
No, just those two things.
Okay. And the blog, right?
And the blog, but yeah, it's definitely, I would say the home organization and the professional organizing, it's the one thing that trickles down through both businesses. So.
Well, how often after you do an estate sale do you help that family then, okay, let's get organized now, or does the organization planning come before the estate sale?
It comes before the estate sale because I want them to be really confident in the items that they're putting in the sale, that they're not going to have regret, because as much as I encourage clients not to keep every little thing and to just bring that clutter into the house because it has sentimental value, I want them to understand that once it's gone, it's hard to get back. So I want them to make those good, strong decisions ahead of time and be comfortable with what goes in the sale. And then we have a timeline of when we're going to set up the sale, when it's photographed, if we do a private sale for the email list, when that will be. And then they have an option whether they want us to coordinate all the cleanup or if they want to do it on their own. And if that's, check, then we set that all up ahead of time, because typically we'll do a sale on a Friday, Saturday, and Saturday evening we'll already start to do the cleanup, because during our busy time we might do 2 estate sales a week. So we really need to, keep it moving. And a lot of times out here with our real estate, houses are sold before they even go on the market, and families have such a short window. I mean, because there's such a low inventory in homes, so they don't have months to work on it. Usually when I get a call, they need it cleared out in about 2 weeks, and then the week that after the sale, it's already painted and photographed and put online for sale. So it's pretty amazing how fast it moves.
Well, let's talk a little about, you've been involved in a couple books. Your first one was The Spirit of Silicon Valley, and talk about that book project and kind of how you got involved with it.
Well, I got involved, when I moved out here, I put myself out there and really networked with a lot of small business owners just to meet some people. And I met a really interesting woman who owns a PR company, and she's also a writer. And she put this project together with really a diverse sector of businesses, where there's a chiropractor in the book, and then there's a life coach, and me as an organizer, and people who have lived here for 40 years, and people like me who've only, at the time, I'd only lived here for about a year and a half. So it gives kind of this real insight to the diversity and the history of this area and the opportunity that is here with small business and even big business. That's what I basically just talked about, how I couldn't believe how someone like me from a small little town in Michigan was able to create such a great business that I'd had for a few years, but in different states, but just to kind of pick up where I left off and grow it. And now looking back to that time, I mean, that was 3 years ago. My business is huge compared to what it was then. And it's just, everyone here really respects what what your niche market is, and whether you sell. I always tell people, like, whether you sell buttons or you are an organizer or you're in high tech, like there's a place for everyone here.
Right. Now, is it one of those things where once you've moved to California, you never want to move away, or do you ever have a desire to get back to the Midwest?
I do all the time. That's the only thing my husband and I ever argue about. But it's hard for me to miss out on a lot of holidays, and with the time difference, it's hard that I miss out on those phone calls and just everyday chats I used to have with my friends and my family. But I love the Midwest. I love the whole lifestyle. I drive a big F-150 pickup truck
With a gun rack?
Yeah, and I have. Oh, it's always got country music going in it, and people just look at me like, "Where are you from?" But this is also kind of the Wild West, so it all works out. I don't know where we'll end up permanently, and I just kind of keep going with the flow and trusting him, which is kind of scary. But yeah, I'd love to move back at some point, but I have no idea when that will be.
Well, let's talk about closets, because you've done a lot of work in the closet arena, and for our listeners and viewers, what are maybe 3 or 4 great tips that someone can use to just attack their closet and get it organized?
Well, the first tip my first suggestion, and this is how I operate with a client session, is to empty the entire closet out. Don't kind of go from one zone to the next, and because you want to do a thorough job. You want to make sure you empty the whole closet, you clean it out, and then you start from scratch. The next tip I would say would be, just because your pants were on the right side and they've been on the right side of your closet for 10 years doesn't mean that's where they need to go. Maybe that would be a better use of space for hanging shoe racks, or it would just be maybe you need to fold your pants and put them in a drawer because you have too much hanging, like shirts and dresses and sweaters, things like that. So just kind of think outside the box. Try to really problem solve what your current needs are. I see that a lot with a lot of my clients who they used to work corporate, and now they're here in more of a startup where it's really casual, and then they maybe got pregnant and had a baby, so then their wardrobe has changed so many times, but they still have that corporate suit collection in their closet. It's like, well, you don't wear it, you're not going to wear it, and if you did go back to that lifestyle, you need to start over. So getting them to get rid of that. And then also my third tip would definitely be to, once you make the decision to donate those items and put them in a garbage bag to take them, get rid of them. I have so many clients that have those bags sitting in their garage for years. It's like there's so many free drop-offs in places that could really use those clothes. So just make the follow-through effort and take them into your local charity, Goodwill, the local churches, the schools, things like that. Anyone will take them. So.
Now, you're out in an area where there's a lot of high-tech people and computers and Facebook and Google and all that kind of stuff. How do people that are kind of into engineering and electronics and the digital age, how are they challenged with organizing, and how can you help someone like that?
I think a lot of that it's just they're pretty good about my high-tech clients are pretty good about making those decisions on what they don't want to keep, because things change and they want to evolve with technology. I think it's just executing to get those items into like a e-waste or a e-cycle, which a lot of real estate companies here have those. They're for free. Churches have those for free. It's just to kind of follow up with that so that those things don't pile up in the garage or in the spare bedroom. Another thing is just to have things separated and sorted into different bins and products so that they can access, certain, software they might need, or electrical, cords or equipment that they might need for certain projects, instead of having it in a big jumble. And also having a dedicated space. I think a lot of people underestimate how often they're working on those projects and how much room they need to spread out, and encourage them to really dedicate a space to it, so they're not pulling it all out on their dining room table and working from more of a not really an ergonomic setup, and then it kind of stays out, kind of gets put away. It doesn't stay organized.
I have an electrical engineer person in my family who will go nameless, but they have this little room where they have like everything they've ever like built and collected, and like you say, they have the bins, so they're organized in that way. But they have stuff that's 25 years old and circuit boards and stuff like. How do you get those people to let go of that stuff?
Well, in most cases, they have to be in a position. It's just like with one of my, my hoarder clients, that they don't want to let go of anything either. But they either have to be in a position where they have to make that decision, or they, for some reason, have to prioritize something over that, where space is at a minimum. And they need to be the one to be ready to make that decision. So as hard as it is to say, like, that's useless, I can't believe they don't use it, but if they're not ready, my only advice is to let them kind of see how it's impacting the rest of the household, if it is, or if it's impacting the space where they're not able to use their newer technology because of the old stuff is cluttering it
now
up.
You have, we're almost done here. You have a new book that was recently released. It's part of a compilation. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm one of the closet experts in Liliana Vasquez's Cheap Chica Guide to Style. And she loves to share tips and tricks for her blog readers, and then she's also on a lot of TV networks as a fashion and style expert on how to make the most of your closet on a budget. So I am featuring my favorite tips for how to stay organized and how to keep your closet in tip-top shape so you can really enjoy each piece and identify those things that you're not wearing, and also kind of prioritize for your budget. So I feature my favorite tips in her book that's coming out soon.
Now, let's talk real quickly here about how people can get a hold of you. So I know your estate sales are pretty local and regional there. How about, do you do any virtual organizing help or anything like that?
Yeah, so we do offer Skype sessions with clients all over the United States, and where we do video calls, and I give tips on layout and products and also time management on how to tackle that space, and then we do follow-ups. So I do that, and then also on my blog, you are always welcome to email me with a question that you have for a space. People do that all the time, and I answer their question on the blog. So recently we had someone who was in New York and needed some storage space, so she asked me for some inexpensive solutions. So then I actually went to the Container Store and shopped virtually for her and gave her about 5 or 6 options, which was kind of fun.
Oh, that's neat. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Facebook is really a great way. Also, just through our website, there's a contact form on our website that goes directly into my email on kuzakscloset.com. Instagram, I post on there all the time. So there's multiple ways. Twitter. But I would say probably, email. I have a kind of a time management rule myself that I don't let an email go for more than 24 hours. So I really try to get back to all the readers and people inquiring about services.
Great. Well, we'll put all the contact information in our show notes for this particular show. And Amanda, thank you so much for your time today. And hopefully we can get you back on another edition of Keeping You Organized.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Amanda Kuzak from kuzakscloset.com today on Keeping You Organized.